recording again. This has my microphone now. Okay, please go ahead, Dom. Sorry.
Okay. So I would say Amulet is my default at this point, which realistically it probably always was, but I think early returns from the work that me and House did on it, the Ring is a massive improvement for the deck, and I think it's just a solid choice overall. So I'm going to put a lot of time into that, but mostly in small groups or independently, like with House or with others here who are interested.
Cool. I think I know Martos, you said that you had ideas for what we should be doing, but in terms of where you're at in Modern right now, where are you specifically?
So I'm a Market player, so I like the deck, but yeah, I think Lishitian said it before. Like, Modern is so wide, so if we see that everyone is putting too much effort into fighting Living End or stuff like that, then stuff like Escape Shift is more appealing. But I don't think this is something that we need to figure out now. Now we need to like I said, solve the new puzzle, right? If there is any puzzle, and as soon as we know how the format is shaping, start working on it. But because if we find something now, we have time. If we don't do it now, then we find it late. It's gonna be disaster. So in case there is something, we need to try to figure out as soon as possible.
Okay.
Mog, where are you
Okay,
at?
I'm back, I think. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're here, Dom.
Okay, so yeah, just to finish my thought when my internet died.
Oh.
Yeah, Amulet's my default, but I think the 4-color Halfling deck is probably like the other mainstream deck I want to put a bunch of time into, because I think understanding like what that deck's matchups are like and what the mirrors are about and so on is going to be pretty important. And then I think Living End is just, I think, like the most powerful deck in a vacuum. It was 6 out of 16 in the Showcase Top 16 this weekend, I think. So like it's the most obvious deck. There's a chance it's going to be the most popular deck at the PT, I think. And so if I'm considering playing Living End, I need to know like how much hate people need to bring to beat it, and then what the mirrors are like, which I can imagine being kind of a mess. So yeah, gonna look at 4-color and some of the fringe stuff, and then can also just test whatever people need me to. So I have a lot of time. Yeah, that's it for me.
Just one thing on the 4-color deck. I think it's important that we figure this one out, because it's a deck that people won't be able to run on at Modo because it's expensive, and that means something if people play challenges every weekend. So if now between now and the Pro Tour, there's like only one deck in each challenge in each weekend or something, because it's underrepresented, that people might be underprepared for it. And it seems like it's going to take a lot to kind of figure out and optimize that. But my base understanding is that it might be just fundamentally broken. I played against it yesterday twice and lost to it both times. And then Halfling into the One Ring on turn 3. Omnath and Solitude, I think, make it the best shell to put the One Ring in. And then you're just playing a lot of powerful cards. So I think it's really important that we try and figure that out.
I think you're right about the supply issues. There was also a factor with the 4-color Yorion decks, right? A while back, where it was just underrepresented online compared to maybe what it should have been. And then, yeah, I think structurally the deck is pretty well set up to fight Living End if it wants to, and so that is like one of the best selling points a deck can have at this point. So I think we should definitely put a ton of work into that, and I think it should be a front runner at the moment.
Okay, I guess I'll go. So I started playing most modern decks. I think Creativity, the Boomer deck, the Rhinos and Scam are probably like traps, and I think Living End and Murktide are my top options at the moment. And if there is like a trend to Beware is like, does our deck have a good Living End matchup? Because it seems to be very, very popular. I have a question mark about the 4 or 5 color deck. I don't know about this one. But we can figure it out. And I think from the new additions, Orcus Bowmaster is kind of significant because it acts as a Renin 6 against the Ragavan and generally like X1 decks on turn 1.
Yeah, Channeler as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one is super good, the black one. But I don't know if there's a shield or a shell for that card, but that's for sure really powerful.
Well,
People be playing. Oh yeah, Bowmasters and Scam mainly, I think.
yeah, I played against Scam like 3 times today, and it had Orcus Bowmaster on turn 2. To me, it seems like an upgrade because Dothi is like very narrow. I know it's like the best card against Living End, but Bowmaster I think hits more matchups, and Dothi has always been like a liability.
Yeah, I think that's worth testing for sure.
So guys, one thing about how are we going to do this? Are we going to post like on a group, this player is gonna play this deck against this other player, or are we doing it freestyle or like on stints? Because I think that's important, so everyone knows what have to do, right?
Yeah, so I think the idea that Zen posted, or at least people were talking about, is that at the end of this meeting, based on what people's sort of where people's interests lie, we were going to split off into teams of people working on specific decks. The Living End people continue to work on Living End. Maybe like Dom and House were already doing work with Amulet, but a few of us are interested in 4 colors, so we split into the 4-color team, and we try to. We'll have that listed out after the end of this meeting, so that everybody knows what other people are working on and what they're supposed to be working on.
Super, thanks.
So Pivo's next, but I'm not sure if he can speak or not. Otherwise, I think it's Sean next.
Okay, well, yeah, so I have also been mostly doing limited so far, but modern, my choice is definitely creativity as the safe option. I have no illusions that it'll be well positioned. I think at best if it beats the 4-color deck, then it's potentially a fine like next level choice, but it's bad against Living End and people are ready for it. I think like some of the hate people bring for it, the Orvars, you can definitely build the deck to just not care about, like particularly in open deck lists, you can just have an Orvar plan and you kind of don't care that much about it, but it's still not like it's not going to be a fantastic choice. I am very interested in trying these 4-color ring decks. I think they are doing some fundamentally broken stuff. The existence of the ring decks actually. So I had been considering Living End and Rhinos as like other decks, like well within my range. I've played them before. I'm now way lower on both of those because they will have a bad matchup against this 4-color deck. Like I can't possibly imagine it being good. They can play a turn 2 Teferi that you can't counter. And yeah, okay, Rhinos has Dead Gone, so maybe Rhinos gets to fight to is only slightly bad overall. Like, Living End, this will be a bad matchup. If the 4-color players don't care about Living End, they will still have a somewhat good matchup against it. If they're focusing at all on beating it, they will crush it. Like that's absolutely my view on those matchups at the moment. So I'm very cautious about it. The other side of it, of course, is maybe we don't see a load of these 4-color decks at the tournament. A lot of people will still play their pet deck / test online. So maybe some of this fear is like being afraid of a deck that doesn't exist in the numbers we're imagining. But it is still enough that I'm worried about running, like, living into a field of turn 2 fairies, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'll definitely be up focusing on the ring decks. Potentially, if we make any headway with the like the breach decks, then that could be something I'm interested in. But I have no experience with those, no idea how to build those. So I wouldn't be on that sort of building team for the time being, I think.
Yeah, great thoughts. Yuang, I think, is next. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name.
Me? Hello.
I believe it. Hello.
Also, it's my turn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hi everyone. Yeah. For now, my default deck is still creativity, but I have some idea about creativity, and like the One Ring changed the modern format a lot. So, I just feel we may have to play some main deck counter spell to deal with the One Ring. Yeah, because we cannot play the One Ring, right? Because of the creativity. So, but I don't know how to build a correct deck about the creativity. Maybe 2 Spear Pierce and 1 or 2 mana counter spell. Yeah, so if we cannot fight the One Ring, maybe creativity is not a good choice, because maybe there are a lot of big teams that will build some kind of deck using or abusing the One Ring. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would be sort of just thinking about creativity. I would be a little worried that, like, more counter spells wouldn't necessarily be correct if halflings being played in force. So then maybe you would want more removal spells for the halflings so that you could counter the One Ring. It seems like a tough balance.
You would play the white remand.
Yeah, that's true. There is the white remand.
Yeah, white remand.
Maybe it's playable.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, because we cannot play any artifact there. So if any powerful artifact in this modern format, which means they nerf the creativity deck. Yeah, because we cannot play it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've got through everyone. So next on the list is Lord of the Rings Limited. I've not had much time to test, so if anyone wants to lead us off, please begin.
Yeah, I can start. I just generally focus on limited more. Anyway, I think that's where my strengths lie. And I think I've been saying something pretty similar from the beginning, in that I think green just feels super weak. I don't have any sort of comparison to make. I know that, like, I think we posted a tweet, or somebody posted a tweet, that green wasn't quite Battle for Zendikar green, but was approaching it. I didn't draft that format, so I don't know. I just heard that it was unplayable. But every time I play green, I feel like I want to play at most like 4 or 5 green cards. In my last 3-0 and the single Elim, I think I was splashing for like the two green black gold uncommons are both very strong, and I'm happy to play those in pretty much what otherwise was a mono black shell. I think that black and red, and then sort of white and blue, are the strongest in that order. I do think that the blue-red deck specifically is very, very busted, especially if you start out with like sanctions or whatnot. But I think that probably as a good starting point for the people that haven't been drafting as much yet, like, I don't want to say avoid green, but so far my experience has been that every time I draft a deck, that green is like one of the primary colors, or I'm splitting it 50-50 with another color. It feels like I'm not doing anything like nearly as powerful as what my opponents are doing when they're not playing green. So that's where I'm at right now, and I'm going to be drafting more like that. I do want to see, because I don't want us to just like ignore green and then like have our seat. Like somebody has to be in the green seat, I think. And so like I think I'll keep drafting green to see like how to make it actually come together or be reasonable. But so far I just don't know what that's supposed to look like. So I plan on putting basically infinite time into limited, and I think that's going to be a good baseline to start out with.
Just to second on how bad green is. Like I played against a deck with green white and like curves of like 3 rares, like the important ones. Like the one that there's the white one for 4 mana, I think, that's like such legendary. But anyway, their deck had all the premium cards. It had all the like food matters cards, like Rosie and all the payoffs. And I still comfortably beat it with a deck full of 18 commons and 5 uncommons. And one thing I'm going to say is I think the red-black decks are really, really strong. And I think when you're drafting them, the most important thing, or one of the most important things, is to make sure you pick up like 1 or 2 copies of things that deal with X1s. There's like the Black Breath, I think, and then there's like the one that Fear Fire Foe or something like that. But they both really, really good sideboard options for us, the red-white decks, and against like quite a few decks in the format. And they really swing the games.
Yeah, I sideboarded the Black Breath in my final match of that single Elimb, and it was just very easily a 3-for-1 on turn 3 after my opponent went like the 2/1 that pings and then the spell that makes 2 1/1s, and I'd played a creature on 2, and it was like turn 3 Black Breath, kill 3 of your guys, attack for 2, and it was like the game was already over. Those cards are very strong in black and red.
Yeah, you have so white, red, and black, white. I think are the 2 main decks liable to just get completely blown out by a 1 damage or -1 effect. It's also worth noting Horn of Gondor is like one of the biggest bombs in the set, and it is a rare. So just having a card that answers that in your sideboard has a lot of value. So absolutely agree with that. I'll also lend my voice to hating green. I've had green be like okay as a support color to black white. So like my food decks have never been just green white, or I had one was just green white and it was bad. But you can play some of the green white gold cards in like an Abzan shell. Sometimes using the land splash, the Paul or whatever. But I think I almost always like avoid green. I have seen some. I haven't had any come together, but I've seen some blue-green decks that did have like multiple rares and clearly completely open and looked, you know.
So
I think that's maybe like I don't know if any of you guys drafted it like Ixalan, and where there was a Merfolk deck but like kind of half a deck per table on average. And if it was completely open and you had enough of the lords, then it could come together and look busted. But that wasn't like the case enough of the time for you to actively want to go into that deck, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So-
haven't personally had blue green come together yet. Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead.
No. So what I wanted to say maybe is a little bit more on the general part, but I think we should try to a little bit like in modern. We should try to try everything by yourself. Like if we are saying green is bad, we should try to put a lot of people drafting green to see if there is a way of doing it. I know Calcano is not here, for example, but he's one of the best in limited. I'm pretty sure he's gonna do it, and he was always saying, I always try to find like the different and try to exploit it. So we need to try to put effort on doing that in the beginning. And also, I have a theory, but I don't know if it's correct. This format is not heavy bomb. It's like a small advantages. So I have been a little bit successful, or quite successful, by trying to use the second chapter of Tempt the Ring and play a little bit more lands. So I think mulliganing is horrible in limited. So if we can avoid that by playing a little bit more lands, we're gonna discard that lands to draw more with the second chapter of the ring. So I think that actually the Tempting Ring mechanic could change that a lot. I don't know if what I'm saying resonates to you or makes sense. It's just a theory right now, but the fact that we can have this flood protection could potentially make us play more lands. Like for example,
that makes sense.
I search for green and tempt on 1, then a creature on 2, and then the black guy on 3 that tempts, makes you that you are gonna play all your spells on curve, and you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you have it, or look for cards if you don't have it. So the second chapter of the tempt, that's why I think it was Mengu that was saying that the 3/2 guy that enters the battlefield that tempts is amazing, and I agree with that, because if we can go like attack with a creature on 3 on already 2 temptings, we can start discarding our extra lands and drawing like actual spells and keep on curving, and that helps a lot in a format that is not bomb oriented, but is more about the small advantages. So I kind of want to try to go in that direction, but I don't know if it makes sense to you guys.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'd also point out the land cyclers let you kind of do some weird things with your land counts. So I've not yet worked out, how many lands I wanted a deck with, say, 4 land cyclers, because
Exactly.
I think this sort of format you can absolutely say, okay, well, I'm gonna hit my land drops. I have enough the One Ring to do extra stuff away, and I want to cast some of these 6 drops because they are all pretty good. So I might play like 15 lands and 4 cyclers. Whereas if I just wanted it to be like, well, I'm never flooding out just because of these lands, I might be pushing it to more like 14 lands and 4 lands like this.
Yeah, exactly. It could be like a 14 lands and a lot of cyclers, or 18 lands with a lot of Tempting the Ring. What I say is that if we kind of figure out that being a team, because on a PT like that, the most edge we can have is against flyers that doesn't have a team, right? Or other teams that do less work in limited. So I think limited is the best place to have a good edge against the rest. And let's imagine that we find out that we can play decks with 14 lands and a lot of cycles, or a heavy Tempting the Ring base deck with 18 lands and have an edge on that. I think that's huge, and we need to try to find if we can do that.
One comment that I'll say is that there's a lot of time until the PT, right? Even from now, it's still a month. So the limited format will start to get figured out a bit, and then like last time round, it was only a couple of weeks that we had since the set release. So this time we can spread the draft prep out over more time. But I think we might end up getting more edges in constructed, since the format is so wide and it's so difficult to find something that's good.
Yeah, I feel like people are sick of hearing this by now, but 17 lands does exist now, and it is going to have a large impact on the information that other people have access to. So it's 2 sides, right? But both will want to be using that as the data becomes actually useful, but also we need to be aware of that. So when we're looking for an edge, and we're looking at, okay, so other people think green is really bad, we know that a lot of the information for the others is coming just from 17 lands. so we can identify where that information falls down. So, for example, 17 lands data will be from best of one on Arena for the most part. So that isn't going to pick up things like the power of the deal one effects, because those are going to be more of a, or something like the Black Breath specifically, which is maybe more of a sideboard card, and has a huge power string there. So when we can find stuff that 17 lands doesn't pick up, that's maybe where we can get some of the edge.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is it a tool that we need to take into account for sure? But yeah, be aware of that because I don't think we can make assumptions for us. We can make assumptions for the rest of the people somehow, but not like. Anyone has a strong opinions on limited or just opinions?
I mean, I guess to reiterate what Andre said, I definitely feel like the Mardu colors are the best colors to be in. And I have not got to draft much myself, but I've watched a lot of friends draft and just kind of like absorbing opinions. It definitely just seems that being in the Mardu colors is where you want to be at. But I guess also more broadly, I'm not sure how pressured I feel to like play 20 drafts right now. Mostly because once I get to the testing house, I'm only really plan on drafting. Because I hope to leave for Barcelona with a modern deck locked in. So outside of trying to do like, let's say like 10 or 20 drafts before leaving for Barcelona, I want to have a okay to understanding, but I don't feel pressured to know everything because I know once I get there, I'll have like so much time to just do in-person drafts, like spend so much time just talking to people, and like at the testing house, I mostly just plan on doing limited. So that kind of informs me that maybe we should be spending more time on modern now. I don't know how other people plan on allocating their time though.
Yeah, I think it is also worth pointing out that I know a lot of people are new this time, but last time we did find that we spent too much time on limited and not enough figuring out standard. And a lot of that just came from, a lot of the people here are like me, really love drafting, and natural inclination is to jam as many drafts as possible. So yeah, I think it is certainly worth looking at. We have a month left of testing, a bit less than that, and allocating more time to modern because that's where we can get the bigger edge. I think Alex mentioned before. So yeah, absolutely worth. I'm not going to stop drafting. I'm still going to do a few drafts every so often, but I am going to start doing more modern, and I'm going to not be jamming drafts like every free hour I have, I think.
I think that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, I just want to draft because it's new and it makes it more. I don't know. It's more of a like building it from the ground up feeling, which I guess like is good for learning. But we do have. I guess I am like it's hard for me to adjust from the last PT where we had so little time, especially coming off the USRC. We only had like 2.5 weeks until, or like 3 weeks until the PT. So it's weird to have this much more time. So I probably will slow a bit down on drafting and work on modern too, because that probably should be our priority for now, at least.
I want to point out, so previously when we've been talking about the formats, we've been saying, okay, so standard was really important, we focused and tried to break it, and modern, a lot of people just kind of play the decks they know. I've kind of changed my opinion in the last couple of days, seeing the power of these new cards, so the One Ring and Halfling and Bowmasters. it really does feel like now that there is something broken, and everyone's tweeting, "Oh, I won this challenge, my deck's broken." That's normal. That always happens. But it does feel like there's a decent chance one of these decks is actually just broken. So I'm kind of shifting from we can get the biggest edge limited to we have the potential to break modern and to find the broken deck.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely undervalued how impactful this set was going to be, and am trying to shake that mentality a little bit too, because a lot of the new cards have been popping up, and that makes me think that the format's more about breaking it than I would have thought otherwise. Like, Modern is such an established format that I thought that, like, okay, we're gonna like fine tune the decks that we've been playing for years, and that's gonna be our process. And I think that I'm gonna try to shake that mentality, because a lot of these cards seem much stronger than I would have picked them for initially. So that makes me think that there's potentially even more cards that people just haven't found yet, because the One Ring is shiny, so of course people are trying it, and Halfling makes sense because it doesn't die to Wrenn and 6 and whatever. But it's possible that there's something even stronger, or a stronger combination of these cards that people haven't looked at yet. So I think that what you said is wise, Sean. Okay. Is there anything else for us to chat about?
So I guess just while we're here, what is like the expectations? Like, how much do people want to draft in person? Because I've got a box, like Eduardo has 2 boxes, and I know Andre, you have a box too. But if we're there for like 6 or 7 days and we want to draft like multiple times a day, then we're gonna need like so much product.
I think like a couple people have mentioned, like, including myself, that like we'll be like getting a couple more. I mean, like, we did like make that spreadsheet for like who's bringing what, didn't we? So I would assume that like we'll probably have enough product for the days that we're there.
Yeah, that's probably something that will become more pertinent later, and
Yeah.
so probably can sort of deliberate that later.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was on people's minds so we didn't just like show up and have nothing to draft.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
I think
No,
I think we'll be okay.
it's Barcelona also, so we can always buy. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll be around for like I'm interested in scheduling some Murktide versus 4-color and probably trying 4-color myself too. Since I won the challenge last night, I have I have one of everything in the set for sure. If people need to borrow stuff from that, just let me know. Is it worth opening the chest just to like just to try to open more cards?
Up to you,
I don't know about
really.
that. And I think that,
like Man Traders has cards now. It's like I mean, like, admittedly, it's difficult to get them right now, but I like, unless you need the bankroll, I don't really see a need to be opening chests right now anymore.
Okay, cool. Then I won't plan on it. I'll just keep waiting for Mana Traders.
I also have a playset of rings on me if anyone needs to use them. 3 of them are Doms, and one of them is a buddy of mine. So,
Alright, I'm gonna stop the recording.